Now, let's get to what you really care about, the both games in the NBA by both free best bet winners. Game number 1, Timberwolves, Nuggets. After losing game 4, the Nuggets, they lost 112-96. They face the first possible first-round elimination since being swept by Golden State in 2022. That's how dire things are in Denver right now. They had high hopes. I really believe they're one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the league all season. I'm kind of perplexed in what's happening in this series right now. Now, what makes Minnesota's win so remarkable is the fact that they did so with losing 2 starters to injury, including all-star Anthony Edwards, who suffered both a bone bruise and a hyperextended knee late in the second quarter of Game 4. Now, based on what I've read on ESPN.com and other sources, Edwards will miss multiple weeks. Multiple weeks, what does that mean? I don't think he'll be back for the next round either if they do advance beyond Denver. Now, question is, will Minnesota close out the series tonight, or will Denver live to fight another day and go to a Game 6? Well, let's check it out. Here's what I like. Minnesota Timberwolves, let's take a look at them. I think losing Edwards in the last game is almost insurmountable. I mean, he leads the team in scoring at 28.8 points per game. And Minnesota has very little individual shot creation outside of Edwards and Julius Randle, who Randle averages 21.1 points per game. He'll obviously be on the floor, but I don't know where Minnesota gets the offense in this game. If you take a closer look also, the T-Wolves, their success is defined on the defensive end of the floor. Defense defines Minnesota. Their defense has slipped. Their adjusted defensive rating dropped from 5th in 2024-2025 to 8th this season at 112.8. That's significant, especially when you lose your leading scorer for multiple weeks. So T-Wolves really need to hold on to their defensive identity, which they've let slip all season. I think that's going to be an issue, and that will leave the door open for Denver to get a much-needed win to stay alive in the series. Now, the Nuggets. How about the Nuggets? First team in NBA history to have multiple players with at least 1,500 points and 500 assists in the same season. And they have actually figured out before the series how to beat Minnesota. Prior to the series, Minnesota had dominated, going 8-3 the last 11 meetings between 2024 and 2024 and 25, that regular season. But Denver, during this past regular season, has won 3 of the past 4. And the one loss against Minnesota was when Aaron Gordon was not available. So I think Minnesota, despite leading 3-1, Denver has silver lining here. I think they have hope to capture Game 5 tonight. But let's take a look at this. Before I give you why I really like Denver in this game, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It really helps out the channel. Like the video, thumbs up, and I love your comments. So if you could leave comments in the comment section, I'll try to respond as quickly as possible. I really like hearing from you, and I appreciate your support. Now, why do I like the Nuggets minus 11.5 since they've looked so pathetic most of the series? Well, I have 5 technical trends I want to share with you that support an investment on the Nuggets laying the wood. Technical trend number 1, contrarian special. That's what I call it. What we want to do is play on conference home teams priced in a certain range of 2 consecutive or more consecutive ATS losses versus opponents of 3 or more consecutive ATS wins in games with totals of greater than 179 points. Why is that significant? These teams are 331, 206, and 6 ATS. That's 61.6% since 1989. That is a contrarian outlook. I love it. They've covered the spread, these teams, by an average margin of almost 3 points per game. And it also contains a subset angle that's 144, 84, and 4. That's 63.2%. That dates back to 2015, involving teams of 3 consecutive ATS losses versus opponents of 3 consecutive ATS wins. That's even more contrarian than the first one. Since 2015, this subset angle, actually the 144-84 angle, dates back, I believe, to 1991. The subset of that goes to 2015. That is 54, 22, and 1 ATS. That's 71.1% against the spread since 2015. That's amazing. That's why I really like Denver tonight. Number two, technical trend number two, what we want to do is play on NBA playoff favorites off a loss in game 2 or beyond of a series. Why? These teams are 393, 308, and 11 against the spread. That's 56.1% since 1998, including 111, 81, and 2 against the spread. That's 58% since 2019. That's a very simple system with a very low number of parameters. It makes sense. It's logical. 58% winners since 2019. You isolate home favorites within that category. Off a loss, they're 347, 270, and 8 against the spread, 56.2% since 2002. Technical trend number 3, I call it my fade the streaking underdogs system. What we want to do is play against NBA playoff underdogs off back-to-back wins. Why? These teams are only 225, 296, and 8 against the spread. That's 43.2% since 1996. That they've been killing sports bettors for years. Technical trend number 4, I call it my buy desperate favorites system. What we want to do is play on NBA playoff home favorites of greater than 4 points. That would be Denver tonight, coming off a loss that went under the total. How do these teams do? Well, they're 59, 26, and 1 against the spread since 1995 when trailing in a series. That's almost 70% ATS since 1995. These desperate home favorites get the job done against the Vegas number and deliver the cash. That's what we want tonight. Final technical trend in support of Denver, I call invest on defense. Why? We want to play on playoff home favorites coming off back-to-back unders in game 5 of a series because these teams are 45 and 28 ATS. That's 62% since 1990. Now, I really like the Denver Nuggets lay the points. I mentioned it before the video, in the early stages of the video. I have a breakdown of the Pistons and the Magic. Now, quickly, I have a couple of trends I'll share with you with this game. It's not as exciting, and I don't feel as strongly about it as I do with Minnesota, but I think the play is definitely on Detroit laying the wood. Trend number 1, you want to play against, fade, NBA playoff home underdogs in game 2 or beyond of a series. Why? These teams like the Magic are just 159, 193, and 8 ATS. That's 45% dating back to 2002. Technical trend number 2, Orlando has been an underdog in each of the first 3 games in this series. That's significant because NBA playoff underdogs coming off back-to-back games as underdogs, like Orlando is, they're just 264, 352, and 13 ATS. That's 42.9% since 1994. My final one, trend, supporting Detroit laying the small number. I call it my extreme contrarian system. Play on NBA road favorites off an upset loss versus opponents off an upset win. That's what we had in the previous game. These teams, 290, 208, and 9 against the spread, 58.2% since 1996. Take Detroit in game number 2. So my 2 free best bets: lay the points with the Denver Nuggets in the first game, lay the points with Detroit in game 4 in their series. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. I greatly appreciate your support. Give it a thumbs up. Comment below. I'll be checking in later to read your comments and to respond. Thank you for checking in here with Keim's Corner. I'll be back tomorrow with more free NBA winners. Thanks again for tuning in to WagerTalk TV.